Hello everyone, my name is Brant Kudrowski and this organic chemistry lab video describes an isolation and characterization of clove oil experiment. This is part 1, the pre-lab lecture. The procedure for this lab will involve reading the procedure in the lab manual, and that's posted on the course Canvas page, reading the pre-lab material on Canvas and viewing this narrated PowerPoint presentation. Then you'll either come to lab to carry out the experiment or you'll watch YouTube videos carrying out the experiment. These are on YouTube but also linked in Canvas. There is a notebook and post-lab assignment to complete and submit. The template file for this and the due date is posted in the course Canvas site. And there is a lab homework for this experiment that's also linked on Canvas. Safety for this lab is described on this slide. Avoid skin contact with clove oil. Its components are irritants. This might seem a little counterintuitive because cloves are a spice that people season their food with, but in concentrated form, it is an irritant. Ether solvent is flammable and volatile, so avoid breathing those vapors and sources of ignition. We're doing a distillation today, and you'll want to wait until your distillation apparatus is cooled before you disassemble the parts that get hot. This will just prevent vapor from escaping into the lab. This slide describes the isolation of clove oil and analysis by GC and IR. Today we're going to isolate the essential oil of cloves and analyze the oil's composition. These are cloves. Cloves are a common spice used in cooking. They come from flower buds of an evergreen tree, and chances are you may have these in your kitchen. They contain volatile organic compounds that give them their characteristic aroma and taste. These molecules make up what's called the essential oil of cloves. Once isolated, we'll analyze this clove oil by gas chromatography, GC, and infrared spectroscopy, IR. The learning objectives for this experiment are described here. We're going to learn to use a new technique called steam distillation to isolate essential oils. It works with cloves and it works with many other spices and materials as well. We'll review and practice using a separatory funnel to do liquid-liquid extractions. We'll review and practice drying organic solutions and filtration. We'll determine the yield of essential oil isolated from cloves. And we'll use gas chromatography, GC, to identify and quantify the components of clove oil. Then we'll use IR spectroscopy to identify the functional groups that are present in clove oil molecules. And this is a new technique for most people, so this is going to be a new thing for today. Clove oil components consist of a complicated mixture, but there are 3 major components. First, there's eugenol, which has boiling point of 254 degrees Celsius. There's a closely related molecule called eugenol acetate, which has a bit higher boiling point, 281 to 285. And then there's a really different looking hydrocarbon called trans-caryophyllene that boils at 262 degrees Celsius. We're going to use steam distillation today to separate these components out from the husks and the fibrous material in the cloves. You're going to weigh out cloves and crush them into a powder in a mortar and pestle. You'll add this clove powder and water to a round bottom flask to get it ready for distillation. And then we'll do a steam distillation, and this is a process that occurs when you have a mixture that contains water and volatile water-insoluble compounds like eugenol, eugenol acetate, and caryophyllene. The vapor in steam distillation contains a mixture of water and organic components that boil at a temperature that's less than 100 degrees Celsius. This allows high boiling compounds to be distilled at a lower temperature than their normal boiling points, and this is useful because it avoids thermal decomposition. The boiling points of the materials on the previous page you could see were quite high in the 250 to 280 degree range, and they would likely decompose before they would distill. Here's a picture of the steam distillation apparatus that we're going to use today. It looks similar to a simple distillation apparatus, and it is, but there's an important difference, and that's that the distillation flask contains water and volatile water-insoluble organic compounds, which makes it different than simple distillation. We're going to use a sand bath today as a heat source to transfer heat from a hot plate to our round bottom flask. And the distillate should boil at a temperature just below 100 degrees Celsius. On the thermometer, it'll probably look pretty much like 100 degrees. The organic materials will co-distill with steam, that's water vapor, and the distillate will appear cloudy or will have drops of clove oil visible because when the liquids condense into liquid form, water and the clove oil are insoluble. So you'll see that two-phase mixture either as a cloudiness or as a floating oil. Isolating clove oil from the distillate is going to proceed by putting the distillate in a separatory funnel and extracting twice with diethyl ether. We're going to then dry the combined organic layers with magnesium sulfate. We'll filter to remove the magnesium sulfate. We'll evaporate ether in a pre-weighed vial in the fume hood. And then we'll measure the mass of clove oil and record it by difference. Then we'll proceed to do IR analysis of the clove oil. The use of the IR spectrometer will be demonstrated, and there'll be a video that describes that. In subsequent videos, there'll be a demonstration of the IR spectrometer use. Clove oil will be analyzed on an IR spectrometer using no solvent. That's called neat. This will involve just smearing some of the clove on a specially designed plate, a crystal that's affixed to a metal plate, and we'll use the smooth side of that crystal, and we'll use a plastic pipette to avoid scratching it. The type of sampling technique that we're going to be using is called ATR, that's attenuated total reflectance. It's just a way of sampling the IR absorbance of a material. Your instructor will demonstrate how to acquire the IR data and how to locate the major peaks in the software. And then when you have a good looking IR spectrum, you'll take a screenshot of that and transfer it back to your PC at your bench for further analysis. Finally, you'll want to identify the peaks due to the following functional groups: OH, CH of the sp2 hybridized carbon type, CH bonds of the sp3 hybridized carbon type, CC bonds of alkenes, CC bonds aromatic, and C double bond O bonds in the ester functional group of eugenol acetate. Then we'll do GC analysis of the clove oil to see what kinds of components are present. GC standards of eugenol and eugenol acetate will be run for you and posted above each GC. We don't have a standard of caryophyllene, but you can infer its position based on its boiling point compared to the other two compounds. To analyze your clove oil by GC, we'll dissolve 1 drop of it in 2 milliliters of acetone. If you have less than 1 drop of clove oil, see your instructor for dilution instructions. Then we'll inject 1 to 2 microliters of this diluted solution into the GC instrument, and we'll hit start to get the software acquiring data. All the peaks except solvent need to be on scale and not have flat tops. If you've got peaks that have flat tops, you need to dilute it to make them come on scale, or if you're having difficulty seeing your clove oil peaks, then we'll need to concentrate the sample and rerun it. We need to have well-sized peaks so we can integrate them properly. Then once you have a good-looking chromatogram with well-sized peaks, you'll save that logger profile and then transfer it back to the PC at your bench so you can do further analysis of it. And then finally, for all peaks except the solvent, you'll want to get statistic information that shows the retention times, integration information that shows the areas of the peaks, then text annotate each peak to label them as either eugenol, eugenol acetate, or unknown. And if you want to take a stab at identifying as caryophyllene one of the peaks, that'd be fine too. That's it for this pre-lab lecture video. Stay tuned for further videos that describe carrying out the experiment. If you found this video useful, check out the next one in the series or watch the prior video. And consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. My name is Brant Kudrowski. Thanks for watching.